Hello and welcome to Rosberry Crafts, my YouTube channel where I share all my crafty adventures. Today is December 30th, 2022, and this is episode 42. My name is Roz and I live in Lake Country, British Columbia, Canada with my husband and my two kids who are 12 and 11. And it is dark outside, so I hope that the lighting is okay. I've got my fancy lights on up there, but it's a bit shadowy. It's making me look like I have huge bags under my eyes. And I'm not saying I don't, because I do, but it's making it worse. Anyway, it is a Friday, and I thought, I should record an episode. We're having a pretty chill Friday. I have now finished work for the day. The boys are playing video games. Taylor is at a friend's house for dinner, and Mike's going to make dinner, so I don't have to worry about that. So I thought, this is perfect. I will record a quick episode to kind of round out the year, and then talk about some of my goals, etc. for next year. And so that is going to be just great. So if you're new here, maybe you found me during Vlogmas or some other time, welcome to the channel, and thank you to everybody who stuck around without an episode while I did Vlogmas. And I do encourage you to go check out some of the Vlogmas, get to see, some of the things I'm working on, some of the yarn that I got, and, just some of the little bits and pieces of my life that I'm willing to share on the internet. So you should go check those out. Today on the agenda, we have some finished objects. I have some works in progress. I do have my year in review. I've got like my bingo card and stuff, and I've got some stash, and we'll have a little teeny bit of chatter at the end because I think that's going to be a full enough episode going on. All right. So first up, we have some finished objects. So the first thing on my list that I wanted to talk about was all of the hats that I knit for the kids' teachers. I ended up knitting more than I needed to, and I purchased a bit of yarn, but I'm very happy with it, and I will talk about that in the acquisitions stash segment. So I knit a few hats based loosely on the Big Button Hat by Anna Duvendek? Sure. And I will link to that along with everything else that I talk about down below. So I used some loops and thread cozy wool that I already had. I had some Lion Brand Thick and Quick as well, and then I'll talk about what I bought in another segment. But I did make some hats. They have been all gifted because of course school is out for winter break now, so I gifted them before winter break, and I think they were all very well received. So that was super awesome. While we're on the topic of hats, let's talk about the Musselburgh. I finished, and I haven't woven in the very last end, but I have finished this Musselburgh. So it is a completely reversible hat. Now I use the same yarn throughout and match the stripes from skein to skein. So really there's no difference to the inside and the outside other than this is just white on the top. This is for Taylor, I believe. It's a little big on her, but I have washed it and she likes it. So we just have to pick out a pom-pom to go with it. I think I have a pink one that would go perfect, and we're good. So again, this pattern is Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague. Let's see if I can just pop it on here. I got to weave in that one end, but I'm waiting to see if she does want a pom-pom, and then I'm going to put a button on the inside. But I think it turned out really nice, and she really likes it. So. And the yarn that I used is Knit Picks Felici in the Ice Cream Truck colorway. Where are we here? Ice Cream Truck, yeah. So yeah, fun colors for her, and something off my needles. I will definitely be making more of these. I have many plans for the future to make more of these. I think it is very good all around hat. You can do lots of different things with it. You could use up scraps. You could use up, you could have different colors, different color combinations, depending on how you wanted to do it. So that is definitely in my future. Next up is my Ease sweater, which I'm not wearing today, but I did wear during Vlogmas. So if you want to see me wearing it, you'll have to go check out those videos. I did wear it quite a bit over the last month. And this was my Nanasuemo sweater, the National Knit a Sweater in a Month. And I just did it unofficially just to do something. So I did finish the knitting on November 30th. And it wasn't even that late at night. So, and I took a picture then, and I've taken a couple of pictures now, and I will insert a picture and talk about it a little bit because I'm not wearing it today. And I honestly don't want to run upstairs and get it, and I forgot it. So I'll just put in a picture. So this pattern is Ease by Alicia Plummer, and I did some adjustments. So I originally had knit the funnel neck, but I didn't like how it was turning out. It was rolling all weird. It wasn't floppy. Like I could have gone up a needle size to make like a drapier fabric. That's kind of how I like those, kind of like an open neck if it's going to be kind of a mock turtleneck. And it just wasn't working out how I wanted it to. So I ended up doing was just doing 1 by 1 ribbing all around. I did a tubular bind off, which I have never done before and I loved. And then I knit the sleeves like way too long. So I I ripped them back and knit the sleeves to the length, and now they are perfect right here. So they're not falling in anything. And yeah, knitting long sleeves apparently is something that I do, because I think that I have long arms, but maybe I don't. I don't know. One of these days I will figure out my perfect dimensions and then all will be well. Yeah, so that's all I did for that one. I did a split hem on, I'm not sure if there was a split hem in the pattern or not, but I did a split hem on the bottom. So it fits perfect. It just covers my bum just a little bit so I can wear it with my tights like I normally like to wear it. You could also easily wear it with jeans because it has the split hem, so you don't feel like it's it's not suctioned to your body, so you have a bit of movement there. It fits just perfect. The yarn that I used for that is a Patton's Classic Wool, and in the dark gray marl. And you can see there's a tiny bit of it right here. And then there are actually 2 full skeins up there. So, yeah, I didn't use, when you look at 8 skeins of yarn, you're like, ooh, is that enough for a sweater? Yes, it is enough for a sweater. So I did good. And now I have some leftovers. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I'm sure I'll figure something out. But yeah, I have 2 full skeins plus most of another skein. So that was the Ease sweater. Next up is another one that I do not have because I have gifted it, but I will put a pattern in. And this is the Cool Beans hat. And this is a pattern by Tanis Lavely, who is Canadian. And sorry, whoops, messing with my show notes. There we go. I knit this for a friend of my mother-in-law's, and she just, she's just a really nice lady and totally deserving of a hat. So I just whipped up a hat. It only took me 3 days, 2 of which were weekends. So, that works. And yeah, so what did I use? I used Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in the silver, and I put a pom-pom on it with my usual removable method with the button underneath. So that all was great. And yeah, so that is a cabled hat, and I'm pretty sure I put a picture in somewhere along here. And I did use a cable needle. I'm not that comfortable doing cables, but I did fine. I crossed them all the right way. So it took me a lot of looking at it and figuring out to kind of get into the pattern repeat. But I got there eventually. I don't know that it was like my favorite knit, but I did it and it looks good. I think it looks really cute. And yeah, that was an enjoyable knit. Sorry, I'm kind of rocketing through these because I feel like I have a lot. Next up was a big project. and I knit Taylor her own shawl because she has been asking to wear my shawls a lot. And a lot of my shawls are very either precious to me because the yarn is precious, or because it has meaning to me, or it's just really big on her. So I found this yarn and I knit a huge triangle shawl for her. And I did, so this is acrylic, and I did a picot bind off on it. But because this is all just knit, it just rolls in. But I think she's okay with it. I really enjoyed knitting this pattern. It was very simple. You know, oh my goodness, I can't even hold it up. I think there's supposed to be 8 rows between the repeats, but I didn't always follow that. I just kind of did whatever I felt like. But she loves it. She's not here right now. She's at a friend's house, but I'm sure she'd be modeling it if she was. So let me tell you about the pattern. The pattern is a simple lace triangle shawl by Kathy Payson. And it's a free pattern on one of the big box websites. I can't remember which one. But yeah, and it was worsted weight yarn, and that yarn worked out perfectly, and I love it. It is Red Heart Roll With It Sparkle. It is very sparkly, and it's in the Kaleidoscope colorway. So, and it's very soft. Like, it's not, it definitely feels like acrylic, but it doesn't feel like a squeaky acrylic. It feels like just a soft yarn. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that she, you know, she's a girl who's 11. She's 11-year-old. I don't know. She likes to dress up, but she also likes to, you know, roll in the mud. So I thought acrylic is easy. I can wash it easy. It's unfortunate that I spent all that time doing the picot bind off and you can't see it, but whatever. It's all good. She loves it, and that's what's important. Yeah, so on to the last thing. The kids have been asking for some hacky sacks, and in the summer we went up to Vernon and they picked out some cotton yarn, and I just brought down Taylor's because that's all that I could find. I just crocheted up some little spheres. They're all kind of misshapen because hacky sacks, you don't want them like full of the beads, so I just have the plastic poly pellets in there. Yeah, I think they turned out really cute. They're all kind of just like a swirly blue, purple, and Cooper's got green ones, so at least they can tell theirs apart. So I knit them 3 each and put them in their stockings. The pattern for this is called Tiny Ball by Julie Cundy. I don't know how to say. And the yarn that they each had picked out was an Estelle yarn, and it's the suds. It's their like cotton for dishcloth kind of stuff. So hopefully it'll be hard wearing. Taylor did mention that a couple of the poly pellets fell out already. You know, these took me not long to make, so they're just gonna play with them until they don't want them anymore, and then we'll move on. I'm not gonna worry too much about fixing them or doing anything like that. So I think that is it for my finished objects. It felt like a lot, and hopefully I didn't go through those too quickly for you. But we are going to move on to works in progress. First up, we're going to talk about my hinterland. No, I haven't worked on it, but I'm going to talk about it because I want to, and I want to motivate myself to work on it. So, I haven't worked on it in, I can't even remember how long, but the color work is all done. I have split for the sleeves. You can kind of see it there. I've knit 1/2 inch down from the sleeves, and I just need to knit the body, which I know it's a lot, but it is just round and round and round. I think the thing that's been stopping me is that it's such thin yarn. I don't feel like I can do it without looking at it. And I do a lot of things where we knit and I watch movies or TV, or I'm in a meeting or something and I'm just knitting while not looking at it, and I'm worried about dropping a stitch and not realizing it because the yarn is so thin. So I tend to work on, not even socks really, sometimes socks, depending on, the sock yarn, but the worsted weight stuff tends to be worked on more in those situations because I can feel the stitches and I know exactly when I drop one, and it's easier to fix because the yarn's thicker and all of that stuff. So yeah, but I think I just need to buckle down and make that a priority. There is a new video cast, podcast, YouTube channel, I don't know whatever you call it, on YouTube, called We Have Yarn for that. And yeah, so you should check them out for sure. And they're having a knit along, basically a finish along in the new year. So I'm going to use that as motivation to finish my hinterland. So hopefully that will happen. That starts in January. I think it starts on the 1st. I can't remember actually. So I will look up the details and I will link to it down below so that everybody else knows the details in case you're interested in participating. Your WIP does have to be more than 4 months old. So it has to be something kind of more from deep stash, deep project bin, versus something that you've just been working on. But yeah, so let's go back to the hinterland. The pattern is Hinterland by Jennifer Steinglass. Yeah, I've been oohing and awing her patterns again, randomly when I'm just on Ravelry, and I just love the aesthetic of her color work, and I've been, just love all of it. I just love all of them. Really nice patterns, well written, clear instructions, and yeah. So the yarn that I'm using is the Cascade yarn, Cascade 220 fingering weight, and purple is dark plum, and the white is buff. So yeah, that's plugging along, and I'm gonna make it happen this year being 2023. It's still currently 2022, but I'm gonna make it happen. Next up, we're gonna talk about Mike's socks. I have been making quite a bit of progress on these. And so here is one whole sock, heel, leg, and here's the other one. So I don't know what I did differently, but the heels are slightly different. I don't know what I did wrong. But there you go. One of them has 4 more stitches than the other one, but I don't think he's going to notice because you decrease back down. So anyway, they are perfectly matching socks, so I have a ways to go on this one still. I don't know what I usually knit the heels separately and then put them back on the same needle and do 2 at a time and kind of knock them out. But I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know what was going on in my brain. I think maybe my brain couldn't handle the 2 at a time. So then I just split them back off into each their own needle. And yeah, I'm just past the heel in this one. So I have quite a bit of knitting to do on this one. And I've started the 1x1 ribbing that I do on the very top of this one. So hopefully I have enough yarn of the other one, and we will make those work. And then he will have 2 matching socks. Considering he keeps blowing heels out in his socks, more would probably be good. And where's my last project? I do have one more project, and this has been taking up the majority of my time. So I recently knit Taylor a love note, and I have one out of the same yarn but in a different color, and my mother-in-law has been dropping hints that she would really enjoy that sweater, and so here it is. So I actually found this yarn on a D-stash on Ravelry, and a very nice lady sent it to me, and before I had even paid, I asked her about payment and shipping, and I said I would pay shipping and whatever, and then I sent her my address and my email address so we could get connected on PayPal and blah, blah, blah. And then like 2 days later, the yarn shows up in my mailbox, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I haven't even paid for this yet. Anyway, so the pattern is Love Note by Tin Can Knits. And this is provisionally cast on the neck. So I will be picking up those stitches and knitting more of a neck. Not too much of a neck. It's nice to have a bit of a scoop on there. It's got this lovely lace pattern, and now I'm in the body. So I had my mother-in-law try on mine. Obviously Taylor's would not fit her, but she tried on mine and she didn't like how loose the main body of it was. So I have decreased 16 stitches down in the body over this amount of, I just finished all the decreasing now. So I'm gonna have her try it on again. So that's a fair bit of body there, and see if she likes that kind of feel a bit better. And if that's gonna work for her, then I will continue on that. I know, oh, the yarn is right there. So I have a full ball plus kind of 2 bits. So I have plenty of yarn to finish this sweater. So we'll figure out exactly how long she wants it and how long she wants the sleeves, and custom made sweater. Yeah, and then we'll have to get some pictures with all 3 of us in our lovely sweaters. That'll be super fun. So yeah, that is the plan for that. The wool that I'm using, or yarn that I'm using, is Loops and Thread Brushed Swirl in Slate. I don't think I said that already. It is 100% acrylic, but this fluffiness, you can't really see it. Maybe you can see it if I go that way. The fluffiness on this is just lovely, but it's not itchy. So yeah, those are the 3 things that I'm working on, and we will move on to next on my needles, which is also where I'm going to talk about my year in review. So if you've been watching for a while, you know that I created a crafty bingo card at the beginning of the year, and I have it here. I do not have any bingos. That's okay. I'm fine with it. Some of the things that I didn't get done, I didn't get any Christmas stuff done. I didn't knit myself a cardigan. I knit a few sweaters this year, but no cardigans. I did not knit 12 gnomes. I did a few. I think I have 4, but then I just stopped. I don't know. Yeah, there's lots of things I did cross off. I still want to make the pixel socks. So that's yarn. It's over here. It's this blue and purple stuff here. It's like a gradient where it's like a darker to lighter of those kind of mixed colors by Ginger Snap That. And I think I've decided on the Rhapsody socks, like a slouchy sock that I could wear over leggings or whatever. So anyway, yeah. So I still want to make some of the things on here, and some of the things I definitely did make. I used a BIPOC designer. I knit a sweater for Taylor, the Baby Yoda toy for my friends. I knit some socks for Mike. Like, there's lots of things that did happen, and DK socks. I knit myself the gingerbread DK socks. So yeah, lots of things that did happen and some things that didn't happen. So, you know, I do also have my numbers on the stash, my backdrop. And I'm going to pull those up for you right now. So I started the year with 69,311.58 meters and 329-ish skeins of yarn. And I count a skein until it's used up. So if I have a skein and a half left, or I have 2.5 like I do after my sweater, I have 2.5 skeins. So I do add up partial skeins. Or like all of this is all leftovers. I'm gonna do a little stash video of how I organized everything this time. In a little bit, you will see that cut in at some point in this segment. But yeah, so that's what I started the year with. And I ended the year with 78,970.2. So yeah, I've gone in the wrong direction. Only because my goal is more out than in. However, I have learned some things along the way. I have really enjoyed opening the mystery skein each month. I still haven't fully worked out a plan on what I'm going to do with those, but I have really enjoyed that, and I know that's a lot of yarn coming into my stash, and I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. I've purchased more sweater quantities, fewer of these single skeins that I don't know what I'm going to do with, that are not necessarily sock yarn, but could be sock yarn or could not be. I don't know. So, you know, I have plans. I always have plans. But yeah, so we will see where this year takes us. I'm planning, like I do every year. I plan for the year and then the year just takes over and I stop doing it. But I'm planning to use my notebook that I got in my Advent from my swap partner Tracy, and my fancy pens, which I don't know where I put them, but I'll find them. I think they're upstairs somewhere. Maybe Taylor swiped them. I have to go look in her room. And each month I will set out how much came in, how much went out. So I count out as a completed project. So it's still in stash until it's completed. And then along with that, I'm going to kind of detail some more about, you know, the kinds of things that I knit on for the week, any projects that I started, because there's lots of things that I start that I don't necessarily put in Ravelry because I just want to see if it's going to work. It's kind of like swatching, right? Like see if I like the yarn, how it's working up in this, and maybe then I rip it out and do something else with it. I don't always start something and stick with it. So there is that. Yeah, and just kind of each week write down what I've worked on and not how much time, I'm not going to track it like that, but just kind of like the things that I've worked on, what I've enjoyed working on, you know, what's frustrating me, do a bit more reflection on what I've been knitting, and hopefully that will be a good journey for me. I do really want to try to have more out than in, not only month by month, but obviously if it's month by month overall for the year. And really, I've gone through all of my stash over the last few days, and I really love everything. I have a purpose for everything that is in my stash. So, you know, it's really hard to say like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to use this, because I really do want to do something with it. I have plans, I have ideas, or I really like the color and I just haven't found that perfect project yet. So I do love all of my stash. So that is really good. And so now I'm going to put in a little clip of how I've organized my stash for this year. It's not that different than what I've done in other years, but I did kind of rearrange a bit of it. And yeah, I'm missing where are my show notes? I lost them. Okay. So yeah, I've done my bingo card. I've talked about my stash numbers. Clearly the Advent yarn has also added a lot to my stash, because I got 2 Advent yarns this year. And I do have plans for all of them, and I love the yarn. I love the surprise of opening them and seeing how it all works out. And it's a fun part of Vlogmas that I get to show you guys some fun yarn every day. So I'm not saying that I'm not going to do it again, but I do, I want to get working on some of that yarn and put some projects into work. So speaking of which, we will move on to stash. So I'm going to go over fairly quickly how I've organized my yarn this year, and hopefully you guys enjoy this little segment. So first we're looking at the very top corner cubby, and this is all my Fireweed Fiber Co. yarn, except for the Advent, which is down in a basket. So yeah, you'll see on the left is all of the monthly skeins that I've got, and on the right is some other skeins that I've got. The sparkly one at the bottom is destined to become a shawl, a Game of Thrones reference. So, and then the rest of it I don't have specific plans for yet, but I'm sure I will figure it out. And those are all fingering weight skeins. Next, we're on to the Nitpicks box, and that is, I don't know if you can see, but that is deep. So those are 2 deep, and I have quite a few colors in there. You can't see all the self-striping as well, but I have lots of sock yarn, and this is all sock yarn as well. So I have lots of you know, colors just for solids and some stripy ones, yeah, so that is good. These next box down is all sock yarn. It's all destined to become socks. It's all yarn that I want to become socks, and I just, yeah, but it's various items. The last bin on this side is also sock yarn, and this is all my Patton's Croy sock yarn. So I just have that all together in one place. The next column over is also all fingering weight yarn. These are kind of random bits. Some of them are partial skeins. Some of them, all of these have been wound, not all of them, because you can see skeins right there, but most of these have been wound into cakes already, or have been used for something and then ripped out, or pieces of stuff. So that's all kind of bits that I have some plans for, yeah. And then the next one down, these are all skeins that some of them I have plans for, some of them are just single skeins that I have. Then there's no rhyme or reason, but they are all skeins. They have not been used for anything yet. They are not wound up skeins. And then the bottom one here, it's hard to see, but all that cream at the bottom is an Elan.com yarn that I have, and then some other bits and bobs on top of it, some handspun from friends and other things, as well as my Advent yarn from last year. And then below that is a bin of all of my leftover bits and pieces. So I have plans for that too. So we will go back up. The next one over, we have, this is all DK weight yarn. Some of these are just partial balls of yarn. Some of them have not even been used yet, but I wanted to keep all the DK together in one section. Next, we have worsted weight yarn, and this is all partial balls or balls that have been wound and used in projects, maybe ripped out or otherwise. So those are all kind of either partial balls or ripped out and need to be put into something. And the next, I have all of my fluffy yarn. So there's some lace weight kid silk mohair in there, and then all of the fluffy yarn I have there. And behind it, I actually have, and I can't really pull it out easily, but I have some Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in there. So it's all worsted weight behind there. I have a variety of colors. So that is that one. Next over, we're still in the worsted weight category. I have some Knit Picks Mighty Stitch and some Cascade and some Pattons, but these are kind of bigger quantities, not just one ball or 50 grams or anything like that. We're moving on to the Aran weight. I have some acrylic and some cotton and some wool, kind of just a mishmash of different things there. And this is all Aran weight as well. So trying to figure out what to do with all of those. Oh, and I didn't say this is where all my project bags live in there. And I have all my notions, like my blocking pins and extra stuff in there. And then ribbon for some reason in this bottom one here. And this is a basket I just have on the floor, and this is all the Advent yarn. And I will show you that closer later. So moving on to the last column here, we are in the bulky category now. I don't know why the cotton qualifies as bulky, but it does. So yeah, we've got some fluffy yarns and some bulky yarns. And then I have some super bulky here. And then at the very bottom, I have two kits of yarn. One is for slippers and one is for a bag. And then the stuff that's on the left is actually stuff that I have hand spun. So yeah, I have no clue what to do with that, but I did have a spinning wheel at some point, and that is what came of that. So that is your tour of my stash, and I hope you enjoy that. Maybe it gives you some inspiration. So the new stash that I have gotten, I'm going to talk about first is my Northbound Knitting Advent. And I have it all on a ribbon here. It's hard to see, but so it is kind of a gradient, a rainbow, and then you get into these like neutral tones. I'm undecided of what to do with this because I do feel a little bit like you could split this up into like 12 and 12 and get like a good gradient out of each of them. And then the full skein is beautiful. And I think I'm going to use it on its own or with just another, like a part of a sweater or something, because those colors on their own are just beautiful. But yeah, so this is her superwash merino twist nylon. So it's 75% superwash merino and a 25% nylon. Yeah, so these colors are just beautiful. They're there again. Yeah, so those were really, really fun to open and see the color progressions. And then next up, I have my Fireweed Fiber Co. So this is the full skein that I got on the 25th. It's hard to see, but there are like undertones of other colors in there. Not like bright colors, but like there's darker gray and purple. And then these are all of the minis. So basically she had an inspiration picture, and she split it into 24 segments and then used the colors from that segment for the day. So they all go together and no two are the same, but it's not a gradient like the other one. So, but I mean, it's beautiful. And like some of them have more teal, some of them have this really blushy pink, some of them are like have this really vibrant color or vibrant green in them. So yeah, that is going to be super fun to work up, and I'm very excited about what I'm going to do with both of those. And then the last one, which I'm just going to pull out one and try not to knock everything over. Boop. I purchased some Line Band Respun Thick and Quick. So this is the thicker one. There is a worsted weight one that's just their respun. So this is 100% recycled materials. Where's the thing here? 100% recycled polyester. And it is a super bulky, so it's definitely thick. And yeah, it is made in India. If that bothers you, I don't know. But I haven't cracked into this one yet. But this is the blue. What's it called? Midnight? No, just Night Sky. Not Midnight Sky. Night Sky. I'll put that away in a second. And I have a green and a black, and I had a pink, like a blushy pink, but I used some of that for the teacher hats because I was using super bulky for those hats. And yeah, I'm very happy with that yarn. Would definitely purchase it again. It's super soft. It still has the springiness of like a wool, and I think it would be great for like blankets or any sort of quick project that you are going to be gifting, because it is 100% polyester, so it's going to wash up nice and easy. But it shows the stitch definition really well. Yeah, I'm super happy with it, and would definitely purchase more of that. So that is it for stash, and we will move on to some chatter. So just quickly, I have listened to or read a few books over the last month. I've been watching a lot of Vlogmas, so that is definitely cut into my audio time. But yeah, so let's just talk about what I have finished. I finished a book that I listened to on audiobook, Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson, and that was really good. It was a little predictable, I guess, kind of. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't, yeah, it didn't hold me in suspense, but it was a cute story, kind of coming of age a little bit. You know, it's a magical world. Obviously, it's witches and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good. There's like witch politics, which could be reflective of real politics, I guess. So yeah, it was good. And then I read My One and Only Duke by Grace Burrowes, and that was totally cute. Very fluffy romance, Victorian romance. So if you're into that, it was a quick read. And I listened to E for Evidence by Sue Grafton. So I'm just waiting for the next book to come in from the library. And the other book that I read is Insurgent by Veronica Roth. So Cooper has read Divergent, which is the first one in the series, and Insurgent is the second. I'm currently reading Allegiant, which is the third, and we have now watched all three of the movies. Yes, I let him watch the movies before he finished the book, but I feel like the book has gone in not an entirely, but a very different direction than the book and the movies have gone in different directions. I think is what I'm trying to say here. So he's going to enjoy the book more. He just is. So that's fine. It was fun to watch those movies. Not something that either Mike or Taylor wanted to watch. So we did it just us two, and it was super fun. So that's it for books, etc. And I'm not going to talk too much about things that have been happening the last month, other than we had a wonderful break, which we're coming up on the weekend now. It's almost New Year's Eve, but then everything is back to normal starting Tuesday. The kids are back in school. Mike's back at work. I'm back at work. I mean, I've been working the whole time, but yeah, so we're going to have an enjoyable weekend and some New Year's Eve celebrations at a friend's house. So it'll be chill and yet super fun. And yeah, and if you want to see more of what we've been doing for the last month, you can always check out Vlogmas. I did create a playlist, and I will put it as one of the links at the end of the video if you're interested in watching that. And yeah. Oh, I forgot to talk about in my plans for the new year. Not only do I have plans for all of the yarn, I have plans. My plan is to record this podcast every week instead of randomly. So they may be a bit shorter, which is it's easier for me to edit, hopefully more enjoyable for you guys to watch. So I might not talk about all of the projects if I haven't worked on them that week, but then it keeps me a bit more accountable. It's going to help me with my kind of weekly goal planning, because I can sit down and think about what did I knit on this week and write it in my journal, and then I have my podcast notes basically. So yeah, so that's my plan, and we will see you all next week with a new episode in the new year. Bye.